Marc Halcon from our newest sponsor from American Shooters in El Cajon. Up next.
But first, we want to welcome American Shooters as the newest gun shop in San Diego and Gun Owner Radio's newest show sponsor. American Shooters just opened in El Cajon at 1468 Graves Avenue, just off the Bradley exit on 67. If you're looking for a great gun shop for any of your firearm needs, go visit Marc Halcon and his team at American Shooters. They have a great selection of new and used and consigned firearms. That's American Shooters at 1464 Graves Avenue off the Bradley exit in El Cajon.
So for those of you who don't know who Marc Halcon is, he has been an advocate and supporter and fighter for the Second Amendment and doing gun sales and all kinds of good things. Basically, the earth cooled, and Marc Halcon started supporting the Second Amendment, right? It was around that time, just after the earth cooled, is when you got involved in
Yeah, that was about it.
That's about it. You and I have known each other for years, and you've been in business. You've been in a part of the firearms industry in San Diego and California for decades, right?
About 40 years. Yes.
Yeah, about 40 years. That's an insanely long time. And thank you so much for everything that you have done.
Well, thank you.
So I was talking to Rich about you opening up your new shop.
Yes.
Which is awesome. Which is to tell them a little bit about the new shop.
Well, it's those of you who know me from American Shooting Center. We closed that down in about 2017, and this is it's not a range. It's just a retail store. We decided to go smaller this time. So it's new used guns, consignments. We're going to try to buy a lot of collections and have them for sale there.
Nice. And so Rich was saying, yep, we're going to have Marc on, And I said, well, Marc's history, right, with San Diego County Gun Owners. He said, no. And I don't think a lot of people know that it was about 7 years ago. You and I had lunch down in Little Italy, and both said, okay, we're losing. We're losing big.
Well, that's about it. Both you and I really enjoy lunch, and
that's true.
I can tell you that I had started an organization of the Firearm Dealers Association many years ago, and that turned out to be like herding cats. And so I thought the best way to try to get organized would start bringing in the customers of the gun stores.
Yeah.
And the best way to do that would be blow up what I had and start with a whole new organization. You and I talked about it, I think, quite a bit, and you took it and you ran with it, and you've done some great things with it, and I just really appreciate that.
Well, we all have, with a bunch of people's support. But yeah, it was over a sandwich at what's that pizza place?
Filippi's.
Yeah, Filippi's down in Little Italy on my lunch break when I was in banking. So what do you think? We talk about this a lot, but what happened in California? You've been as engaged as anybody for as long or longer than anybody. 40 years ago, we weren't an anti-gun state, right?
No.
What happened?
40 years ago, we had shooting ranges, outdoor shooting ranges. We had several of them up and down the coast. We had shooting clubs, just like you'd have a golf club now. We had shooting ranges that had certain clubs that would go there back and forth. What changed was the political climate as we went further and further left wing and started getting into all the environmental issues. The gun owners and the gun shooters were an easy target. And that preceded what we have right now. It's just a shame because when we had a balanced system up in Sacramento, we could go up there and we could air our concerns and we'd have people listen to us. Now it's just a waste of a airline ticket because people will just shut the door.
Won't even listen. I mean, we have the enormous advantage of being right. We're frankly right. We're correct on everything. And when you were talking to reasonable people and there was a balanced system, they would recognize that, and we'd win more often than not. But what did we do wrong? What did our side not do well enough?
We didn't promote an all-inclusive membership, and by that I mean all-inclusive. We didn't bring the younger shooters up where they needed to be. We all aged basically. And we didn't worry about what was coming behind us. And so we ended up with a lot of older shooters shooting trap and skeet and sporting clays and that type of thing. And their bias was we don't need semi-automatic rifles. They didn't see the forest for the tree. We had a lot of younger shooters who felt we didn't need trap and skeet ranges. We just needed 1,000-yard rifle ranges. And so trying to organize everybody, the big mistake we made, again, was not being all-inclusive, not just with every voter arm that's out there, but with every minority organization, every youth organization. I think promoting the youth organization was the number one advantage we could have had at the time, but we didn't do it.
So why do you think it's so hard? It seems like the other side, the anti-gun side, could organize at the drop of a hat. I'm frankly a little jealous sometimes, that they're able to get people motivated and get people to show up. What's with us? Why has it been so difficult to herd cats?
You have to understand, gun ownership in and of itself is a sign of independence. That's how it started. People raising up arms and being going to be an independent state, basically. And right now, it's hard to get everybody on the same page. It's the same thing. The other side can organize. They put a phone tree together and they say, let's get people out there. And the gun owners, for the most part, and bless them, they try the best they can. They donate the best they can. But a lot of us are blue-collar, hardworking people who can't take the time off.
Yeah. We can't go protest. We got a job, right? We got a job we got to go to.
Exactly. Jobs and families and things like that.
Well, and I found, the left says, their anti-gun groups say, hey, here's what we're going to go do. Or more accurately, they'll have like a pool of people that go and do stuff, show up at city council meetings, show up at marches and protests, that sort of thing. They say, hey, this week it's a gun issue. Last week, remember, we needed you to show up for an environmental issue. Well, this week it's a gun issue. And without hesitation, without asking, they go, okay, we'll be there. Tell what color shirt are we wearing? Okay, great. We'll all be there. Our side, it's like, hey, guys, we need you to show up at a city council meeting. Well, wait, why? Well, they're going to talk about this gun. Well, I don't know. Is that really something we should? Well, gee golly, there's parts of that. What's the exact wording? And trying to explain the nuances and the of every single little to 100 people. It's like, hey guys, we need you to number one, maybe do your own research if you're really worried about the nuance. But number two, we need you to trust us enough, and stop splitting the hairs. Hey, we just need you to show up. We just need you to show up.
That's correct. The other side, you have to understand, they're emotionally driven. They operate off emotion. They don't operate off of logic, because if they did, they would lose. And that's all there is to it. There isn't a gun argument out there that you can't apply logic to and succeed.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. We have the benefit that we're right. We're right. Up and down on every topic, we're right. But that's one thing I've tried to do. And one thing you and I have talked about, especially at the beginning, was messaging. And how we really need to, I don't want to say we're copying off of their homework, but we need to come up with a message that resonates with people who disagree with us.
Well, Michael, I think we're already doing that. I think you're doing a good job of that by, promoting certain people who are running for certain offices and trying to get behind and support them. That sends a message right there.
I agree. I think we're doing a way better job of it. But back in the day, 10 years ago, I'm not sure we were doing a great job of it. I don't think that I think that's something that we added. You and I, when we sat down and talked, that was something we wanted to add to the.
Well, 10, 15, 20 years ago, say 15, 20 years ago, we didn't have the school shootings. We didn't have, all these horrific things going on. That's one of the problems right now is the media will grab one story and stay on it and stay on it and stay on it. Unless it's to their advantage to ignore it, just like the Alec Baldwin story that went away. It's no longer an issue, and it should be an issue.
What did you? Why should it be an issue? Talk a little bit about your perspective on that.
It should be an issue because it's a great example of basic fundamental firearm safety gone wrong, and by that I mean the production people on that set violated every rule you can think of when it comes to not only motion picture etiquette, but also firearms etiquette. And that was done multiple times apparently. And of course, the last interview Mr. Baldwin did basically said he didn't pull the trigger. Well, we all know that's laughable. The guns don't go off by themselves. If they did, I wouldn't carry one. I mean, that's all there is to it. Okay, so when you sit there and say, well, it accidentally went off, I've been doing this over 40 years. I've been a forensic expert in court for many, many years. And every time I hear somebody say the gun accidentally went off, I have to point out to them that that is physically impossible.
You know, I was working with a student this morning and was talking about that very thing. I've never, ever heard of a gun that actually accidentally went off. I've never heard of that situation ever, but I'm always hesitant to say that it never happens because I just don't know. Have you heard of anything like that ever happening?
Oh, I've heard of it. Yes, there's certain situations that can occur where you have a malfunction within the firearm. For example, if the chamber's too hot, you can have, if the gun, what they call melt off, where the cartridge gets inside there and it detonates.
Yeah, I've heard it. You're right. I've heard of that. That is an example.
You can have a safety mechanism within a firearm that breaks and allows the gun to fire when it shouldn't. So those are all things. But keep in mind, when that gun fires, it's being held by somebody. And it's being held by somebody. It's being controlled by somebody. Just saying a gun is going to go off and cause an accident or something like that, it's the same thing as saying a car is going to start itself and drive down the road at 100 miles an hour.
Right.
It's impossible.
Right. That's interesting. So what do you think? You and I had a little conversation about Alec Baldwin. Is he in trouble? What do you think? What path are they going to go down legally?
I think we as a state were in trouble. We as the firearm dealers, I think, are in trouble. After 4 years of waiting to open up this new store, I was amazed all the new laws that passed, with registering ammunition and, making private party transfers. If I wanted to buy ammunition from you, we have to do a private party transfer. Yeah. So there's a record in all these things. So as a state, I think we're in trouble. I look at the other, what I call free states. I look at Nevada and Arizona and Texas and New Mexico, and I look at all that's going on over there. They seem to get it right.
We're very proud to be partnered with the National Concealed Carry Association as a 10-ring partner. NCCA exists to serve the Second Amendment community by providing a nationwide network of 2A advocates. They offer elite self-defense and concealed carry training from the nation's top instructors, and they provide rock-bottom prices on the best selection of gear and accessories. Join them today. Members get great prices and free shipping. You can learn a whole lot more from them at nationalconcealedcarryassociation.com.
We're here talking with Marc Halcon from American Shooters, brand new shop in El Cajon, and the grand opening is, are we allowed to announce that yet?
Yeah, we've decided we're having a grand opening on January 15th. We're going to be there with Bill Deasy from CCW USA, and we're proud to have our San Diego County Gun Owners representatives there too.
We'll be there. And there's, I'm hearing rumors that we're going to serve some pizza. That's a San Diego County Gun Owners tradition.
Pretty much. There will be pizza.
There will be pizza. Yeah. That should be the shop's new motto, right there.
Hey, no Greek chicken?
No. From what I understand, the pizza is outstanding, but it's in that same parking lot.
It's the only reason I brought it up.
Yeah, of course. So tell us a little bit more about the shop. What do you love most about being a retailer? What motivates you to run a gun shop?
What motivates me mostly is I've met so many good people, over the years in the industry, customers, and I always tell people that owning a gun store is like owning a bar. You meet the nicest people and the worst people sometimes the same day, and sometimes it's the same person. But we're more geared towards customer service. We're trying to accommodate people with their needs and explain to them what gun is right, what gun's wrong. Men come in there sometimes with their wives and their girlfriends, and they're bound to determine that woman needs a Glock, even though she can't charge the slide on it. And so we try to explain there's other semi-automatics that lend themselves easier for loading and unloading and having safeties with them.
Well, the first mistake those men made was going into your shop with their wife and girlfriend. Pick one or the other and bring her. Don't bring them both, right?
Well, we're going to offer a service of daycare for husbands. So
nice. Just put them in a corner with some crayons.
Sure. Just bring them on in. Let them see what they want to buy.
What's the biggest mistake people in general make when they're buying a firearm?
the biggest mistake is either they don't educate themselves ahead of time, go take a class or do some of these organized, like the organizations you get that organize shoots that you do.
Yeah.
People should go out and shoot first before they come in and buy a gun. Otherwise, they end up buying the gun. They go to shoot it for the first time. They come back and say, this is too loud, or this is too much recoil, or something like that. Yes, it's a gun. It's going to be loud, and it's going to have some recoil. But some people are sensitive to that.
It's really tough. I used to tell people, like, well, hey, here's what you need to do. You got to go down. You got to blah, 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 blah. And they'd kind of glaze over. I've started, when people ask me, hey, what should be my first gun? I'm going to buy a gun for the first time. What should I get? Here's what I've started to do. I tell them, go shoot a Glock 19 and work out from there. Start with a Glock 19, and then if there's something about it that you don't like, find the gun that fixes that. And I've found that it's a little more tangible for people. I don't know. What do you think? Is that good advice?
I would call that advice. Yeah.
You're not a Glock guy, are you?
Oh, well, it's not that I'm not a Glock guy. I think it's a fine gun. I often said that if the good Lord wanted us to have a plastic gun, he'd put water in it. But having said that, what I tell people for their first gun is they can't go wrong with a good revolver. The revolver's easier to understand. It's easier to shoot. There's not safety levers and bells and whistles you have to worry about. I was showing a young man a SIG pistol the other day, and he was just baffled why we have a decocker on a SIG pistol, but we don't have it on other guns. And so you have to understand, most people who buy guns now, they're not like us. They're going to buy a gun, they're going to buy a box of ammunition, and they'll be lucky to shoot that up in a year. It's going to sit there in the closet. It's going to sit there in the nightstand. And try to get somebody to understand how the gun works after they haven't touched it in a whole year. That's why I have a little bit more tendency to lean towards revolver for the very first gun. The Glock is a fine pistol. There's no doubt about that. But there's a lot of fine guns out there.
So how do we get people to do more training? I mean, you support training a ton, and you have a training facility. Are you guys? How much you guys in the new shop? Are you guys talk about training? What's your relationship going to be with trainers and training?
Well, we have a relationship with CCW USA and with Bill DC.
Yep.
And so what we try to do is when people come in and they ask about training, we give them their card, we give them the flyer, and we ask them to go see Bill. Okay, he probably does more training in the county. He and his assistant trainers do more training in the county than anybody else. When I had American Shooting Center, we used to have 30 people in our CCW class every time. And so we did quite a few back then too. But I think that training is not only important, it's a perishable skill. Once you learn how to use a firearm, you need to go out there and practice. When I retrain people and do their re-qualification for the CCWs, and I ask them, when was the last time you shot? And they say 2 years ago. I find that there's certain things that people don't understand. If you're a shooter, if you have a gun for self-defense and you go get a new prescription for your glasses, go out and shoot again because it's going to change how you see your sights. If you have, manual dexterity issues, arthritis, there's certain guns that aren't going to be good for you. Certain guns will. So it's not a one-size-fits-all industry. You have to kind of mold it to that person.
Which is good.
I think it's excellent. Yes.
Yeah. So that's awesome. You guys, Bill DC taught at the old shop for a million years. So he's coming back, and he's going to be your main go-to guy when it comes to CCW.
He will be our main go-to guy. Yes, we have some other shooters. There's some other shooting instruction clubs. There's Active Shooter Self-Defense Club in San Diego that does Matt Clear, and they do quite a bit of shooting, quite a bit of training. Excuse me, but they're more on the advanced side.
Yeah. Yep. Bill's great. I got my first CCW was the Utah, and I went through American Shooting Center, Bill DC, got it there, and he's been wonderful. He's been a huge supporter of San Diego County Gun Owners. He's a great guy. Bill DC. I did my Bill DC impression to him one time, and he goes, I said, you don't mind that I'm doing my Bill DC impression, do you? And he goes, well, what is it? I'm like, no, I'm doing it right now, Bill. This is it. He's the best. He's awesome. So talk a little bit more about the county. I mean, the county's changed a lot in 40 years. The county's changed a lot just since American Shooting Center, closed down. So just in the gap between American Shooting Center and your new shop, San Diego County's changed significantly. what are your thoughts on that, and what do you think we can do?
Well, let's go back further than that. Let's go back, like I said, I've been doing this about 40 years. People don't realize right there on Cuyamaca Street across from the airport was a great 500-yard rifle range for many, many years.
I didn't know that.
It was used by El Cajon PD, it was used by the Highway Patrol, and it was used by civilians too. That's a disadvantage of being my age. You remember all these things. But
so wait a minute. Over by Gillespie?
yes.
On what is it, on the other side of the 67? Is that where it was?
On the other side of 67, it was on the west side of Cuyamaca.
No, so we need to knock down all those apartments and bring that back.
I
Get rid of some of these golf courses.
I think for every golf course built, there ought to be a rifle range built.
I'm totally with that. Every time I see a golf course, I think that's just a wasted gun range. That's all that is.
Well, it's hard to lead them. So, I think that you asked what's changed in the county, and it's what's changed is the base. What's changed is the people who make decisions for us. Our political leaders have changed. When you have leadership that's all one party, and they happen to be anti-gun, or they happen to be anti-growth, or anti-whatever, or you have a leadership that's pro on the other side, you have to have a combination. There's enough there for everybody. It can't be all one way or all the other way. There's got to be, you have to be able to sit down at the table and explain why we need what we need.
Well, my hope is, we got the CCW policy changed. There were about 1,100. Now there's about 5,000 or just over 5,000. And they're approving, what, Joe, 150 a month, something like that?
Yeah, it'll just be, we should go over 6,000 this month, actually.
Over 6,000.
And about 200 a month the last couple of months.
200 a month, that's even better. My hope is that, because that kind of cuts through all the BS, frankly. Wherever you are politically, everybody wants to defend themselves. So I've seen, latte drinking yoga instructors with man buns get CCWs, because they want to protect themselves. You know what I mean? It kind of cuts across political and cultural divides. And my hope is that, as we increase the amount of CCWs in the county, that it will actually change the culture. Not overnight, but my hope is that the more people that say, yeah, this is the most effective self-defense tool ever created, I definitely want to carry it when I'm outside because we live in a dangerous world, that the culture will begin to change. Am I crazy?
No. I look at it a little bit different. I think I have a problem looking at a amendment to the Constitution and having to go ask permission to carry my firearm.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more hardcore than that.
Yeah.
But I think that the culture does need to change, and we are seeing that whenever we see like these smash and grab robberies that we're seeing up and down the coast right now. My phone's ringing off the wall. Could you put a class together? Can we do this? Can we do that? And I'm listening to shop owners who are really terrified right now. And at the same time, you've got the other side trying to defund the law enforcement. So it's just, you're going to be on your own, basically.
Well, one of the things that's encouraging is this little guy right here, Jackson, goes and shoots. He shoots every Wednesday. Tell Mark, what's your gun that you shoot every Wednesday?
I'm currently shooting a 48 9mm pistol.
Wow.
Yeah. 8 years old. The guy shoots more than I think just about anybody in the room here.
Well, we need 10 more just like him.
I know. But I think that's great. I honestly, I don't know. I guess I'm kind of a glasses half full guy. But I think there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I think it's going to be a whole lot of, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We get a victory or two, and then we get smacked in the face. Like recently when they said, hey, possession of magazines, normal capacity magazines is now a felony. Okay, that's a step back. But, I still think we're moving in the right direction. I really do think that the future is bright, even here in California.
I think the future is bright nationwide. What we see going on right now with the cases that are going to the Supreme Court and such, I think nationwide the future is bright. I don't know about California. Even though I'm a firearm dealer here in the state, and we go by all the rules we have to go by, it's very disheartening when I have people come in from Montana or Wyoming. They look at this and they say, how much does buy that gun? And we explain it to them that you have to have this permit and that permit, a birth certificate, and you have to register ammunition. It's just almost like we're on another planet.
So January 15th, grand opening for American Shooters. We're going to promote it. San Diego County Gun Owners is going to promote it. Do you guys have a website up yet or not yet?
We have a website getting started right now.
Getting started right now. Okay, excellent. So
we'll get it to you.
Be on the
as soon as we're
lookout, but if you're not on our email list yet, get on our email list and we'll definitely let you know. Thank you, Mark.
Okay, thank you for having me.
Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. You can watch us live every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, right here on our YouTube channel, or if you're in the San Diego area, you can listen to us on 1170 a.m. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform for free. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can help restore and protect the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.